predictions?
We are live with what a play-by-play by man you were on Sunday. You called some great. You made some great points.
Wow.
You were a great
Thank
color
you.
analyst as well. You shifted from color analyst to play-by-play at a certain point when my phone overheated. So thank you for that.
I'm having a great time this year in the YMSL. Obviously, went from the manager role to the booth, as many greats do. But I'm really this series in particular. I'm enjoying it very much. It's been some great softball, and looking forward to Friday.
So Sandy, when you look at a series like this, okay, the SmackDown team has scored a total of one more run than the White Walkers.
Unbelievable.
But they have one more win than the White Walkers, and that's really all that matters. When you look at the line scores, SmackDown was up 5-0 in Game 2. They were up 6-2 in Game 1.
7-1.
And then they were up 7-1 in Game 3. So you're talking about a 4-run lead, a 5-run lead, and then a 6-run lead in the 3 World Series games. And every one of those games became a 1-run game one way or the other.
It's unbelievable.
How does that happen with Nathan on the mound?
It goes against any person that sits down and talks about the series. If you told them these would be the scores in the 5th inning, 4th inning, nobody, even the guy that's trying to be crazy contrary, nobody would tell you that any of these games would end like this. Not only that, after watching the first 2 games, if you told me 7-1, I still could never tell you it would end 7-6. So it's gone against all logic.
Well, that's what happened, because even at 7-1, I said the game's over.
I did too.
When are we going to learn that the game is not over?
Well,
with this
I'll tell
team?
you have to learn it, and it shows you the character of this White Walker team. They are a great team. You're watching 2 very good to great softball teams right now playing, and they're both playing at a high level. The White Walkers now, once you prove that you can do that, you'll always think you can, and that's half the battle. I think with a guy like Nate B, a lot of times half of the aura of him is the intimidation factor. And when you have that feeling of, we can get to him, even if we're down, we can get to him. Don't worry, guys. We just need a couple of hits and we'll be okay. That makes a big difference. And that's what's happening in this series. And that's why no game and no lead is safe.
So it's funny, because in Game 1, you could almost chalk it up to, it was 6-2. It was 2 outs in the 7th inning. They put on a late rally, but, it would have been a miracle of miracles if they actually...
Right. You were actually calling the game, and you said, it's 5-1. I don't care if the next 2 or 3 guys get a hit.
Right.
It's an AB, and, the game's over.
He'll somehow get an out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Meanwhile, the out came on the base paths.
Yeah.
Okay. In Game 2, I think Teddy Braha's got to make that count. It was a 5-1 game. It was men on, a bloop base hit, a high pop basically with 2 outs. He makes that catch, it's 5-1. Instead, the ball drops, it becomes 5-3 and then 5-all.
I agree. I think you're talking about 3 different comebacks. 2 of the 3 comebacks, I think they did it basically with all clean hits. I mean, everything was clean. The Mavora shot in Game 1 probably should have been fielded. They ended up getting out of the inning anyway with the play at the plate, but everything was clean up until then. That's the one play you can look at that you could say his defense really failed him on that. Teddy looked like he had it and then just pulled up. If you watch the highlights, the play doesn't focus on him all the way through, but that has to be caught, and then it leads to a Mavora walk and then a clean hit by John.
Yeah, John had a nice, beautiful base hit up the middle to tie the game at 5-all. Now, another aspect of all this, before we get to the Game 3 comeback, is that once the Walkers come back, usually SmackDown just lays down and does not, they tack on when they're building the lead, but once the Walkers start striking back,
correct.
SmackDown stops tacking on.
Correct. Well, you saw it. You saw their body language at 5-all. They were shell-shocked. And they didn't. Well, in the first game, they didn't have a chance to tack on anymore.
Right.
They won the game. But in the second game, they had a couple of innings, didn't do anything. Third game, like you say, they tacked on to build the lead. They were up 7-1, looked like they were cruising. But once it got to 7-6, they did stop. So you make a good point. There's no law that says you can't wake up and come out of your slumber and score a few runs.
So at 5-1 in Game 3 now, when SmackDown scored 2 more to make it 7-1, now it's a 6-run lead. We're not talking 3 or 4 runs anymore. We're talking 6 runs. We're talking you got to have a legitimate long rally to get back into this game.
It was one of those where I believe the 6th or 7th run came on like a double, but that got by an outfielder.
Yep.
It just had that feel like the game could end 12-1. And I think even on the camera I said that should put a wrap on Game 3. But again, you can't count this team out. This White Walker team has something. They keep fighting. To give them credit, they, like you say, they don't give up any more runs. Once they start the comeback, they hold it where they are. Leo holds it down, the defense holds it down, and they do their thing. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Now at 7-6, Joe G stopped at third base. I think he could have scored. It was on that broken play that you're talking about, and he got held up probably because of what happened in Game 1. They had like 4 coaches there. You got to be cautious, and John is up. He got the big hit earlier.
Well, that was the exact scenario the week that John was coming up.
Same scenario.
Thing, and this time they didn't want to take the bat out of his hands, and you have Albert sit.
I mean, talk about that play. I mean, a kid that goes
what?
into the street, a live street, could be cars.
There's a kid that saw the situation, saw what was going on, and you know what? He said, I gotta make this catch no matter what. If I get hit by a car, if I fall onto the pavement, whatever it is, I gotta end this inning right now at 7-6 because I don't want to give John an extra life.
And it's just, you're talking about a foul ball that could change the complexion of the entire 2019 season.
Absolutely.
A foul ball.
Absolutely.
That ball drops. John could very easily get a hit like the previous 4 or 5 guys got. White Walkers are up 2-1, and they could become the champions on Friday.
And he was feeling it at the plate. He got the big hit in game 2.
Yep.
I guess Mocas got the big hit, but he tied the game. And now he's up. If that ball goes foul, like you say, gets another shot. Maybe he gets a hit, maybe he doesn't. But Albert Sitt saw what was going on. The team was falling apart, and he said, I got to end this. I got to lay out, and he did. And give him credit, he saved the game for them.
It just goes to show you how this sport is different than any other sport in the world. In that, Naby is the first guy taking the first pick. No matter who the captain is, they're taking Naby first. Okay. Yes. They have Max Sutton playing shortstop. Yes, they have a star in Marty Anthony in left field. This guy's going to be a first rounder eventually. Give him a couple of years. Luka, Jimmy.
Jimmy's been unbelievable.
Hit the ball like
Jimmy's
Jimmy
been
Malak.
unbelievable. And
That's awesome.
I'll tell you, he's been unbelievable. And watching him in the field, positioning the guys, he's a he's not so quiet, but he's a leader, and really does his job. Doesn't really get involved too much with the back and forth. I like what Jimmy's been doing for this team.
I've never seen someone position players
unbelievable
like this.
Unbelievable.
I mean, Marty caught a ball in center field. He was so shaded over. The ball was basically a tick to left from center, and Marty was the one making the catch because Teddy was all the way in right.
We saw together, I don't know who was batting, but he had him positioned, or he had the short center fielder positioned more towards shortstop, and Stephen Batesh was yelling, I want him over more. And he would not listen, and sure enough, the ball went right to the short center fielder. Maybe had to move, I don't know, one step over.
And boom, make the play.
And that made the play. So he has been great at that.
He's been great at that. So with all those stars on this team, especially with Naby, it's Albert Sitt. I don't know what round he was taken, but I guarantee you it was double digits. It was 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round, something like that.
Well, you need that. You need that to, all the great teams, the championship teams, your guys have to perform that you expect to perform, and then when you're at those barbecues and championship dinners or you watch those interviews, there's always 1 or 2 guys that they got in the 8th round or 10th round or 9th round that they say, without this guy, we would have been finished. So Albert Sitt's becoming that guy for them.
It's every single year. You can look back at every team. I always look back to the Expos. We had Mark Nordea, our 12th round pick. Yeah. Without this guy, we don't win the championship.
I'll never forget, we were practicing and we were hitting him ground balls to start the season. I didn't even know who he was.
Yep.
And he was making play after play. Mikey pulled up, came over to me and said, I didn't know that we drafted Ozzie Smith. I'll
Right.
never forget it. And he played shortstop a few weeks for us.
He played
when
shortstop
we were shorthanded.
when we were shorthanded because we had to move Allie to center, and he played short center in the World
Yeah,
Series
he was
and made
unbelievable.
every play.
He was
Then you
unbelievable.
go to every other year, you look at the guys on the team. It's usually right fielders also. You look at
It never fails.
Yeah.
You have to have that. Your guys have to perform, but you need a guy that you pick that has an upside to reach that upside.
So he's so young also. He could still become a star because I remember when Bub was a 10th
Absolutely.
round pick on the
Absolutely.
Expos also.
Absolutely.
Right fielder, great glove.
Now premier #1 hitter.
Now
and
he's a
plays
leadoff
right,
hitter and plays right
and,
automatically.
Supplanted in that spot, for years to come. So
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think Albert's headed that way.
So do I.
And he's
Okay.
a poised kid. He's a good kid. He doesn't make it. I like that. I know a lot's been said about their young guys, and they have a young team, and can they handle it? They're all really solid kids. They don't get him. They're not cocky. They're very Adami, for lack of a better
It's almost
word.
like you heard my interview with Max. I told him I'm jealous of your dugout when you walk up and down and you see these
I
guys.
did not hear the interview.
Yeah, you did not. But it's like I had the same exact point.
They
You
really
walk
are.
by
They're
these
good
guys,
kids.
They're good.
And they
kids.
want to learn. They're open to listening. They defer to the elder statesmen on the team. So I like the chemistry of the team. I think that's what Max was going for, and I think he got it. And he's got a 2-1 lead in the World Series.
Okay. If you're Morris Casson, how do you it's easy to say, but how do you get these guys to start the game in the first inning and not in the fourth inning? I mean, if they only don't go down one game, logic dictates that they'll win. So
I don't. It's very hard. I mean, I don't think he's doing anything differently, or that they're doing anything differently in the first inning or the sixth inning. So, I think you have a little bit of a sharper maybe early. These are very hot days. Sun beating down, a lot of pressure. It's very draining to pitch in the World Series, and I think you might be getting a little bit of a tired pitcher towards the end of the game, especially in Game 2. So I don't think that they're coming out flat. I just think it's a matter of Naby's executing a little better earlier in the game, and they're waiting around patiently, not panicking, and taking advantage of what they can later on in the ball game.
with the way the schedule turns out, are you saying Navy now has the advantage because we're going to play one game, Game 4 on Friday, and then if there's a Game 5, it's also going to be one game?
I've been outspoken about this, that I think the Walkers, just for the fact that Navy has never truly been swept. We know he got swept one year at the end of the season when he already had a bye locked up, but in terms of a week that meant something, he's never been swept. So I thought that the White Walkers played into SmackDown's hands not playing Friday. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I don't know.
No, you didn't accuse anyone. You're saying they should play
I'm
short-handed.
saying I don't know who was really going to be missing, but I'm saying, if you were going to be able to field a good team, I would have done everything I could to play on Friday, because I just think, look, the White Walkers played unbelievable, and they're still down 2-1. They still didn't sweep them. So I think that those one games, yes, he maybe tires a little bit in the second game, but I still think he does not get swept. So the one game can only help the White Walkers. I think.
hear you.
It can only help the White Walkers.
Well, hopefully for them, it helps them now because they have the one game.
It helps
and the
them
one
now,
game.
but I really would have, if I'm a White Walker fan, I would rather have seen it happen earlier in the series. Now your back's against the wall. You got to beat Navy twice
and games
in
4
elimination
and Game 5.
games.
So you're saying if they play Game 2 solo,
play Game 2,
somehow win that.
Somehow win. Now you come to the field tied on Sunday, get your sweep, and now you take one shot with Navy back
split.
against the wall.
Get your split.
Now you take one shot with Navy back against the wall. Maybe it's a 5 o'clock Sunday game. Maybe he's out of his rhythm. He's still going to be out of his rhythm if that's the case. But I just think it's very hard to beat him twice back against the wall. But if any team that I've seen in this league in the last 3 years that can do it, it's this team.
This White Walker team, I mean,
And I think there's going to be a Game 5.
you do.
I do.
You like the Walkers on
I think
Friday.
there's going to be a Game 5. I don't know what I like. I just feel like this series has to go 5.
I mean,
which doesn't make sense. It's not good analysis, but that's just what I feel.
You know what? The last 2 World Series, both with Nate B, went 5 games.
Yes, I managed against him a couple of years ago.
That was the Cyclones?
That
the
was
Ducks?
the Cyclones.
What team was the one that went to the Cyclones
and then
against
last year,
NWO?
the Orioles beat them in 5, and the key component was winning that Game 1, so you did not have to ever sweep him.
So they won
We lost
Game 1.
Orioles won Game 1.
And then they won a pivotal Game 3, a standalone game, like you're just saying. The Orioles won that Game 3. They lost Game 4 on a Sunday morning, and then they rebounded
Very
and won
important
Game 5.
not to put yourself in a position to play him twice. That's my opinion. Until somebody proves that they can sweep him, which they're not going to this year. So he's going to go 3 years without getting swept. I don't believe that he's going to get swept.
Does he have a problem finishing games?
I mean, he's had a problem these last couple of weeks. I don't know that you can label him now as a guy that can't finish games. Look at his body of work.
Yeah.
He's won a World Series. He's gotten to the World Series twice. Besides that one win, and this one is still up for grabs. So I would not say Naby can't finish a game. I'd say that he's had a hard time finishing. All that being said, he's up 2-1.
I just think there's so much more pressure on him than anybody else, because I think there's another factor that I believe he has to be going for. And that is, it's not just about winning the championship. For everybody else, Jimmy, Salim, Max, anybody else on either team, you want to win that championship because you just need to win that. I truly think Naby happens to be more of a student of history than you know, and I think he's going after, he's talented enough to go after the Ike Adids, the Red Nessers,
yeah. I mean,
the Moses Eastman. He wants to win 7, 8, 9 championships. That's what I think.
There's something to what you're saying. When you're the pitcher, it's a different pressure than, like you said, when you're a Jimmy Malak. Of course, Jimmy wants to win. He wants to get as many rings as he can. But maybe when you look at all these teams, you always look, who is the pitcher on this team? Who pitched this team? And if you look at the Cup, there's very few pitchers that have won twice.
Very few.
So, and all of them, I don't know all, but most are elite. So,
it's like a quarterback in the NFL.
Correct.
Baltimore wins a year without a quarterback. We get it. Like the Untouchables won without a pitcher.
Correct.
Fine.
So, as you said, Ike Adid, Red Nesser, those are the two names. You have A.B. Cohen, who's won multiple times.
Moses
has done it. Did it late in his career, but did it. And so, he's going for his. It's sort of like Federer on Sunday. There's more. Federer is unbelievable no matter what happens, but he's going for that, for those titles to separate him.
Yep.
So Naby also, I don't think he wants to go out as, he's billed as another level pitcher. If he doesn't win this year, now he won 1 in 3 years. It's not, okay, he's been there, but it's not as daunting. And so I think there is an added pressure for him. The league, he's a marked man in the league. He comes in every week. Every single time he takes the mound, somebody wants to kill him.
It's crazy.
So it's hard. It's very hard, and he deals with it. The way he deals with it, he gets himself pumped up. He yells. He does what he does. Some agree, some don't agree with how he behaves on the mound. So
but he's been a model citizen in this season.
He's been. I don't know how he was earlier in the season. The playoffs, I haven't seen much.
Forget pre-Passover when we were still changing things. And
correct. I haven't
seen
seen much, and I commented. I thought there was a need for him to pump his team up a little bit after that jarring loss. So, yeah, he has been a little more subdued. It could be the fact that he hasn't been pitching his best.
And there's nothing wrong with screaming, I need runs.
I don't mind that. Pump his team up and everything. What I don't like is when he sort of targets somebody else or mocks somebody else, which I haven't seen him do in a very long time.
Yeah, so I just think it's a huge weight on him that he's so talented and so good and so competitive. He's never said this to me, but I really think he's looking to notch, to borrow the word from the White Walkers, one more notch.
Yeah, he needs it.
To get those notches and win multiple championships. And that's got to be, it's hard to be on the mound alone. You mentioned Federer. He was talking about the psychology of tennis and they were trying to bring coaching into tennis. And he said, no, that's a whole beauty to the sport of tennis is that you are alone. You have to get through this. Baseball's a team game, but on that mound,
you're alone.
When you're holding the ball and it's 3-2 and you're sweating, you alone have to throw the strike.
And I think the flip side, a guy like Leo, you want to get your name on there. And so there is pressure on him too, but it's a different pressure. He's more of the underdog. The focus is on Nabi. Nobody talks about Leo right now. I've watched all your interviews. We haven't heard much about Leo in the World Series. Leo probably prefers it that way. Let me fly under the radar. He's been very good too. Outside of a few innings where they've scored runs, he's clamped down. When you say that, Tom Seaver always said that the biggest thing after a big inning or when a team starts to come back is the pitcher has to throw up a zero right after that. Leo's done that every time.
You're right. That is such a good point, Sandy. Every single White Walkers comeback has been complemented by a shutdown inning by Leo. That's a great point. And he's been better in the semifinals in terms of box scores and in terms of shutting down the opponent. In the World Series, he's given up some big numbers early.
Yeah.
But great point.
It is, and you can say, well, the SmackDown team, their body language was bad. They died after they scored but there's something you have to give Leo credit because 5-all if SmackDown comes back and scores a run. Now you did everything for nothing. Now it shifts, and Leo comes out, got a 1-2-3 inning right after they came back, set up the Mocas home run.
Unbelievable. When you were mentioning Leo, he wants to get his name on the trophy. That's not really so much pressure. That's more like you could motivate him. I remember back to Mikey with the Expos. Mikey was on the trophy as a DH.
Yes. And I think Leo might be on the trophy.
Leo might also be on the trophy. He was on the Untouchables, but he didn't play that postseason. So, but you go to a pitcher and you tell him your name's going to be on that trophy forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
And it's a big thing. It's a big thing. You look at the community. I was thinking about it this morning. All the things when I was a kid that were big, like Top Gun and all these things, nothing lasts as long as this league has lasted. You look at that trophy, 1976 till now, and every year it's the same importance. Nothing really has lasted for 40 years like this has done.
It's amazing.
And it's unbelievable. And to get your name on there, my name's on there once, and it can never be taken off. And it's an honor.
Well, it can be because we redid the trophy and there was 1 or 2 typos.
Well, they've been corrected. They've been corrected,
but we still have a couple of
outside of Abo Shama's O being a 0, not an O. Everything's been corrected.
What about that Eddie Mystery has a period after Eddie?
Yes.
Eddie.
Yes.
Well,
he prefers it that way.
Yes,
he legally changed it.
Okay, so Sandy. All right, Game 4 is Friday over here on Fireman's East. White Walkers have played him multiple times. From what I understand, Nabi prefers this field, believe it or not, even though they didn't play it this year.
I think a player prefers this field, and the fans like that field better.
As a player, when I was a player, this field is, to me, a much better field than Fireman's West.
Yeah.
There's no tree. There's no issue in left field.
It's a truer field. We're looking out into the outfield. It's a beautiful. it is a beautiful field.
Yeah. Your prediction, please, for the game and the series, if you'd like.
I want to go game by game. I'm going to predict that there's going to be a Game 5. I think the Walkers are going to find a way to win. And it's more of a. I just feel like this series has to go 5. It's not even an analysis of what I think is going to happen or a prediction of a score. I feel like this series has been so close. It just feels like a 5-game series. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think it's going to go that way.
Okay, I'm going to go. I predicted a split on Sunday. I think you did as well. I don't know if it was on camera or not, but you told me they'll split. I also thought it would be a split this past Sunday, so we were both right in that regard. Most people have been telling me they think White Walkers are going to win on Friday, but I think the SmackDown is going to take it on Friday and take the cup on Friday. Few reasons for that. I just think SmackDown really gave away that game too, and I think if they continue to score runs, which they have every game, they've scored 6, they've scored 5, they've scored 7. I can't imagine Nabi goes through the World Series without having a shutdown game.
I'm going to say there's a caveat to what I'm going to say. I'm still predicting a Game 5, but I was going to say also, I don't think you're going to get a 7-6 game on Friday. I think you're getting a 2-1, a 1-0 I think you're going to get a very low-scoring game. I know the smart money is on Nate B in those games. I think he's going to pitch an unbelievable game, and I think Leo is too. I think there's going to be, I think the time, everything about the game, it's out of your routine. I think you're going to get some tightness, and I think you're going to have a low-scoring game that the White Walkers are going to find a way to win.
How great is the end of YMSL every year? Because you
Unbelievable.
play these games. You don't play a game
best,
at 4:30 all year long.
And I'll tell you, if you get a Sunday, July 28th game at 5 p.m.,
Even
game
5:30,
5:30. I remember, and again, I'm the league historian. I was 5 or 6 years old. I remember the 1984 World Series, Game 5. My dad was playing in it. It was a 5 o'clock start. It was a continuation of a rainout game.
Wow.
So we started in the 4th inning of a 1-0 game.
Get out of here.
And I would venture to say Dow Avenue, we have the game on YouTube. Hundreds of people down the line in the outfield, on top of the dugout in there. I maybe the whole community was at this game, and I think you can get the same. You play it on that field down there, and I think that would be unbelievable. Maybe it's wishful thinking.
Maybe if we get a game 5 and it's on a Sunday, we get face painting for the kids and balloons, and we make a whole event.
I think you got to do it at that time, and it'll be unbelievable. The league this year has been unreal. There's been some great games, epic games, long games.
Do you believe the postseason this year? Has there been one bad game besides for the Butter game and besides for White Walkers over Maccabees game 1?
Yes.
Besides that, every game.
That the deciding game with our guys and White Walkers, that's a game for the ages. Every World Series game has been unbelievable. If you stayed for it, if you didn't leave, you saw some unbelievable softball.
Real quick, because I don't want it to go too long. Games for the ages in the last month, okay? Your game, the Maccabees 11-inning game 3 against the White Walkers. What about what happened with Albert Gamal not touching third, thus ensuing a 3-way tie and a 14-inning 0-0 play-in game?
No, that was that. And then right after that, that same team played a 14-inning game to force a second play-in game for themselves and won it.
And what about the Lumber Kings? What they accomplished this year from 1-7 and winning these ridiculous
unbelievable.
games?
This is like on Yom Kippur, the president speaks to the shul and tells you all the highlights of it. This is what we're doing right now, and it's really, and we're forgetting games, but there were some really, really epic games, unbelievable games. The season could not have gone any better. And I really hope we go to 5. I really do. I hope we do. Maybe that's why I predicted a White Walker
Maybe
win.
that's why. You know what? It seems
but
like...
they have something. That team does... Like, you always say, oh, this team... that team really does have something. And you know, it's a lot of different personalities. There's veterans. There's younger guys. There's guys that like to talk. There's guys that like to be quiet. It's a lot of... It's just a lot.
You know,
and they come together.
It's funny even within families. Look at Raw Dog Greenberg and Joe Greenberg.
He calls his brother Joseph.
Should
we be referring to him as Joseph?
You know what? Let's call him Joseph because
if you
Elliot and Vicky Greenberg only call him Joseph. So why are we calling him Joe?
I don't know why. Every time I watch a highlight reel, you have Raw Dog screaming, Joseph, lock it down. And then I did notice Elliot tell Joseph that he had a big hit. I'm going to call him Joseph from now on.
Okay, so Joseph Greenberg, such a talent. Such a good guy, just you wish you could play like he could play, right?
Yeah.
And you wish you could hit like he could hit. But then you put the camera in his face, he gets a little shy. Then you see Raw Dog Greenberg, who they call Eric. Then you see Eric Greenberg, and this guy's just made for the camera.
Raw Dog, I'm gonna tell you, I love Raw Dog.
I love this guy.
I'm gonna tell you my first experience with Raw Dog, and I don't even know if he remembers this, was back when I was the Cyclone manager. We were playing NWO in the World Series. Raw Dog was not a player. And his brother Joseph was on that team, and he was rooting, and he was the most annoying guy to root, to be on the other side and hear him. We actually had some brief words with each other, and then we hugged it out, and then he was actually a Duck the next year on my team, but I love him more than anything. But Joe is just a gamer.
Joseph.
I mean, Eric is just a gamer. He's a guy that loves the game. He wears his heart on his sleeves. He was so emotional after winning and getting to the World Series. And I love to watch him.
The funny thing is, like we mentioned Max's team, they don't fight, they don't argue, the White Walkers do fight, and they take that and say, you know what, we're a family, and families fight.
And Mocas is an unbelievable captain.
What a
really
guy.
unbelievable captain. You always hear that high-pitched scream when he, it's you know what? Look, I hate them because they beat us, and you know, to me, we had such a great team, and I felt we had the team to get to the World Series, but they deserved it. You know, they won the series. And they're playing well in the World Series. They're not quitting. They're showing a lot of character, and you know, it's been just a great series.
I want to give one pat on the back to the committee for choosing the captains this year, because we had so many guys that wanted to be captain this year, and we had to choose 8. And I don't know that we were so scientific with it or whatever. We ended up, we were very fair. We weighed the pros and cons, but we got rid of so many guys that used to bring down the league. And we brought in a guy like Mocas. He's been a captain before. We know that. But he's a great captain. He's passionate on the field.
He really is.
He leaves everything on there.
He really is.
He has great sportsmanship. He's fair. He's not looking to cheat. He's not looking to appeal every bag.
No, he's been unbelievable to watch. He's
and
really a good guy.
Same thing with Mocas. Same thing with
you're talking about.
Same thing with Max Sutton. Same thing with Sandy Shalom. Same thing with all these guys across the league. The captains we had this year.
We had a great. We really had a great year. You know, listen, every year comes with some, you know, some things that are unfortunate that you wish didn't happen, and I'm sure that we've had our share. But overall, it's been an unbelievable season. Clean play. The banter's been on the field banter. That's clean, and I've had a great time bringing my family to the games. My wife's been at games. All of my kids. And it's just been unbelievable. I'm looking forward to Friday tremendously.
Sandy, thank you so much. I apologize that this went long, because every time I'm wrapping it up, I bring you another question, another 5-10 minutes. But
it's very hard
great
when
job.
You have a star.
When you have a star like you in the booth, it's really great. Great job. Great points you made on the games. I cannot wait for Friday afternoon. Fireman's East. First pitch is actually 4:45.
Okay.
4:45 p.m. first pitch. Ceremonial first pitch. The star of James Gang, the star of Peaches Pirates.
Oh, you got the Peach Man throwing it out.
The Peach Man, Jackie Picciotto.
Okay, I think 3 or 4-time winner on that.
4-time winner.
4-time. James Gang, Peaches Pirates. I think he was on Jamal's Pals.
Yep, 2 for 2 as a captain.
Yes.
So, and also head, one of the coaches with Jackie Eshko for the Hillel team. So he has connections with Buka, with Teddy, with Marty, with anybody that's young from Deal has played for Peaches. So he's just a softball icon and legend.
Absolutely. Hall of Famer.
Obvious. I think first time they opened the Hall of Fame, they put him in.
No, he was still playing, but he got in right after.
That's right. He played with Leo one year, I think.
He did. I played with him one year.
As did I. Okay, so we have Peaches Picciotto throwing the first pitch, 4:45. We'll see everybody here on Friday afternoon. Sandy,
Norman,
thank you so
much.
much.
Enjoy the game, guys.